this infamous or famous pledge, Donald Trump committing himself to the Republican Party. Take a look.
The best way for the Republicans to win is if I win the nomination and go directly against whoever they happen to put up. And for that reason, I have signed the pledge.
Yeah. Let me bring up to date. I got a pledge here. I want to sign. I pledge to eat vegetables every day for the rest of my life. Signed, Neil Cavuto. Okay, got that. I'm kidding. But just to make the point, he made the pledge, so it's deemed a big deal. Well, there are people who think it is a big deal. It's a good thing he did it because it shows he's on board. It's not a legal document. Nevertheless, Lisa Boothe loves it, says that by signing the pledge, he's taken out a lot of impediments here. Gina Lisa, who doesn't have to sign any diet pledges, by the way, was saying that this kind of indicated her he kind of sold himself out a little bit to the establishment. Do I have the gist of that right, Gina?
You do, Neil. I would have advised him not to, although I think we have to remember one key element, and that is this is a master negotiator, and you just don't know
so what did he get? What did he get, Gina?
Yeah,
what did he get?
Exactly. I don't think we can know. I think one thing he did get, though, if you think about this from that perspective, is that now the other candidates have to be a little more careful. He was always the non-GOP, the threatening guy that they could just attack with abandon, and now the rest of the candidates have to say back to him, okay, if I'm signing that pledge, that means I'm supporting you if you're the nominee, Donald Trump. Not a bad position.
Bill, very good point. But Lisa Boothe, I'm like, pledges aren't really worth a whole lot. I mean, I've made such, like the one I just did, that isn't too far afield. It's not illegal. It's not a binding document. You know, no one's notarizing it. So you're always free to break it. But I guess this did ease a lot of angst among Republican Party types, beginning with Reince Priebus. So how significant is that?
Well, look, and I think any of the Republican candidates would support Donald Trump if he ends up being the nominee, as they should. And I think it's an important thing.
I don't know about that. Do you think Rand Paul will? Do you think Rick Perry would?
I do think they would support him if he's
enthusiastically.
No, I absolutely do think that the RNC would support Donald Trump if he ended up being the nominee.
That's not what I asked. Those individuals, you think they would? They've been the targets of blistering attacks.
I do think they would support him. I absolutely do. Okay. But look, now here's the thing. Regardless if you support the Republican Party, regardless if you're angry at the Republican Party, regardless if you support the RNC or not, the RNC's job is to try to mitigate any sort of third-party attempts that could potentially derail Republicans' chances of taking back the White House. So regardless if you agree with the pledge or not, that is the RNC's goal.
Yeah, but he did a 180, Lisa. He did a 180 from the debate last month. And Gina pointed to the fact maybe cynical businesswoman she is, and that something happened, that a deal was made. What?
No, but I think what the important thing here is, regardless of what you think of the RNC or not, their job is to try to mitigate a third-party attempt. And
I agree with you. They got what they wanted out of this. I guess Donald Trump gets out of this.
Well, I think he's starting to look a little bit more like an actual candidate. But here's what's important. The most important thing for any Republican should be keeping Hillary Clinton out of the White House. We cannot afford another 4 years of President Obama's big spending, big government policies.
I hear you, Lisa. I apologize. But Gina, by that, what bothers you most is that is a very conventional political response. And you don't like that,
that does bother me. I don't like that. I do agree with her that he did sound more presidential candidate-like today. We'll have to see if this resonates with the American people who he hasn't risen up in the polls because of that reason before, Neil.
Right.
But this is what bothers me. Why isn't Reince Priebus and the GOP more concerned about their candidates pledging allegiance to the GOP platform than they are to the elites in the party? That's the part that I don't think the American people are going to
want.
But here's the thing, Neil. Donald Trump chose to sign the pledge. Nobody forced him to sign the pledge. This is a choice that he made on his own as a candidate. And look, I agree with Gina in the sense that we're seeing some great anti-establishment environment right now. We're seeing it both on the right with Donald Trump and Ben Carson. We're also seeing it on the left with Bernie Sanders.
You know what I'll tell you? You know what I'll say? I've covered this guy for decades.
But Neil,
I'm telling you, he's a brilliant businessman, and he doesn't sign something willy-nilly, even though it's a meaningless pledge to me. And I think what he got out of this is a recognition that if he didn't sign this or do something like this, He might get in trouble in states like South Carolina that could strip him
The
off the ballot
ballots.
in the future. And
I think that was the big issue, too.
it shows how serious he is, that this isn't just some sort of a lark. He is very seriously running for president of the United States.
I would agree with that. I think he's starting to look more like a candidate.
He did what a good negotiator does, Neil. He did what a good negotiator does. His
Right.
back was against the wall because he had to be on the
Okay.
ballots in those states.
Fair enough.
He owned it.
Fair
he
enough.
took control.
All right,
But-
ladies,
but I
I went
agree.
way over time. I'm going to write another pledge to my producer, Pam Ritter. I will never.
We're going to hold you to the
I
vegetables.
will never go over
Oh, yeah.
on a segment again. Pam, please forgive me. Okay. I love that. I love making pledges, and I never have to stick to them. I do have to stick to this, though. I've been calling it